ডক্টর মুর্শেদ আলম গৌড়বঙ্গ বিশ্ববিদ্যালয়ের গৌড় কলেজের ইংরেজি বিভাগের সহকারী অধ্যাপক। বর্তমানে এডেনবার্গ ইউনিভার্সিটির ইনস্টিটিউট অফ অ্যাডভান্স স্টাডিজ ফর হিউম্যানিটিজ এর পোস্ট ডক্টরাল ডিগ্রি স্তরে গবেষণা করছেন। নিম্নবর্গের ইতিহাস, দক্ষিণ এশিয়ার মুসলিম সংস্কৃতি, উপনিবেশায়ন, বাঙালির মুসলমানের সাহিত্যিক এবং সাংস্কৃতিক ইতিহাস এবং সংখ্যালঘু মননের ধারা তার গবেষণা ক্ষেত্র। একাধিক বিশ্বমানের পত্রিকা যেমন ইকোনমিক অ্যান্ড পলিটিক্যাল, সাউথ এশিয়ার রিসার্চ, থিঙ্কিং মার্কসিজম ইত্যাদিতে তার নিবন্ধ প্রকাশিত হয়েছে।
Dr. Murshed Alam is an assistant professor in the Department of English, Gould College, Gould University. He is currently a postdoctoral research fellow at the Institute of Advanced Studies for Humanities, University of Edinburgh. His research interests include lower caste history, South Asian Muslim culture, decolonization, Bengali Muslim literary and cultural history, and minority thought. His articles have been published in several world-class journals such as Economic and Political Weekly, South Asia Research, Rethinking Marxism, and other notable journals.
Thank you also to Dr. Shati Guha, Director, ILSR, and Professor Anindo Prakash for inviting me to share my thoughts. I accepted this invitation with trepidation and fear because I am neither a scholar nor even a student of Bangla literature. So I accepted only because this will give me an opportunity to know and learn from the other speakers and participants. However, based on my scholarship, what I have, read, researched, I would like to, put across few points which perhaps might have some, relevance while we are talking about Mymensingh Gitika. First, why this search for ballads, these Gitikas from Mymensingh or Eastern Bengal? This very search, Dinesh Chandra's, appointing, Chandranath Dey and others, like later he also appointed Jasimuddin and others to collect the ballads. Why this search? I would like to, flag off this point and would like to, contextualize it in the international context of, search for identity. Because we know that, the search for ballads and what we sometimes call folklores began in Europe in the 18th century. And that was a time that was critical for two reasons. One is the Napoleonic wars that ravaged the, old identity of Europe, and various nations, quote unquote nations, they felt the need of, finding their identity or forging their identity anew. And the second point was the post-enlightenment, society and the, spread of rationality or control of rationality, all those, discourses, and some intelligence here, they felt, the need to go beyond, a region-based understanding of life and find, the people's identity or the nation's identity located in the, myths, in the lifestyles, in the lores of the people who resided outside the metropolis. So these two perhaps, were the reasons. There might be others that led to search for ballads and, to forge a newer identity. We can talk about, the Grimm brothers in Germany, and we can also talk about, Parsi's very famous, publication, Relics of Ancient English Poems, which was published in 1765. And Herder, the German thinker, scholar. He translated some of the poems from Parsi's relics of ancient English poems, and he also talked about the importance of collecting folk and ballads from Germany, because he theorized that the national identity, the cultural identity of a nation resides in the folk. Okay, so those of you who are familiar with Herder's notions of identity, cultural identity, you know very well that how he premised the notion of national identity within the folk cultural idioms. So I can say that Herder set down the aesthetics of understanding folk culture or folk literature, and this can be summarized by three N's. And first N is natural, second N is native, and third N is national. So natural, native, national. So you can understand how this search for and collection of ballads and folks were connected with forging of identity in Europe. And coming back to the Bengal context, Amitabh Babu has brilliantly talked about the post-Swadeshi search for Bengali identity, from coming out from within the people. And he has brilliantly read Dinesh Chandra's attempt of finding these ballads and gitikas uh, in the context of searching for identity. And I have just tried to say that this is not a Bengal phenomena; it is part of a larger international phenomenon. And we can see that when Maimansingh Gitika was published in 1923, and we know that in 1917 another significant book was published by Binoy Sarkar, and the name of the book is Folk Elements in Hindu Culture, and that book was published from London. So we can, and if we read the introduction by Dinesh Chandra, we will see that he refers to many Western scholars who he was in touch with. And Ronan Say himself writes the foreword of his, Maimansingh Gitika. So what I want to flag off here is that this search for ballads and Maimansingh Gitika is part of a search for identity, which can be viewed internationally. Okay, because from 18th and 19th century, that search for identity through folk and ballads started in Europe. This can be connected with that. Dinesh Sen's attempt can be connected with that search for identity. First, my first point. My second submission, I have not read all the ballads. I could read only 2, 3, and I have read parts of Chandravati's Ramayan. And based on that reading, so my impression is that the kind of politics that emerges from these texts. First of all, can we read the text as an expression of the political consciousness of the people of that time? Can we, find in them, what Ranajit Guha later on calls elementary aspects of peasant insurgency? They were not insurgents, definitely, because the Gitikas, they do not talk about insurgency, but there are conflicts, uh, and that those conflicts are based on uh, class differences, as well as caste hierarchy, as well as religious prejudices, and all these material forces led to the various tragedies that happen within the Gitikas, because we see that one of the predominant leitmotif of the Gitikas is a tragic ending. Perhaps there is only one or two Gitika where there is happy ending, but there is tragic ending, and which is also counter to the Sanskritized aesthetics, which did not allow a kind of tragic ending. So this tragedy coming out of the material discourses of the time, can we read them as an expression of, of the folk balladists talking about the, material conditions of the time, and, when there is an attempt to go beyond the caste barriers, religious prejudices, because we see here women, Hindu women, or Muslim women marrying Hindu boy, or Hindu women marrying Muslim boy. So there is also an attempt to go beyond caste barrier. So can we see these attempts as a sort of, uh, 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 expressions of politics? This is my second submission. Uh, my third submission is, is connected to the first one, that search for identity. So we know that, there was a search for identity, or what we can say after Gramsci, a search for national popular. And but we know that somehow there was a failure to find that national popular, because a few years later there was partition, and even after that, even today, I would say that that rift is still there. Uh, that autonomous domain that Ronit Guha talks about in terms of subaltern culture, maybe there is no more any autonomous domain, but there is still a rift between, what is constituted as culture in cultural discourse, and what is as, culture coming out from the rural people. That is that rift, that difference is still very much there. That is my third submission. Yeah, another point that I wanted to flag off is the question of language, because the language that we come across in these ballads, they are not a standard Sanskritized Calcutta Bengali. Okay, there are, those languages coming out from the, from the flesh and bone of the earth, from which the stories are. And there are also intermingling of Arabic and other words, as that the community which produced those ballads were mixed community. So, and there were those peculiar Eastern Bengal dialectical features. So that how to read that linguistic difference, and can, when we are celebrating the Gitikas today, that linguistic difference still persists between, Calcutta Bengali and, suppose, for example, the Bengali we speak in Malda, or there are, various other, variations like Sirsa Badia Bengali, or other dialects. So how to bridge that gap? That is also another issue that is there. Uh, there are some other points which perhaps I could flag up, but some of them have already been addressed, and there are other speakers. So I would, stop here, and if there is any other question in the discussion, I would love to take them. Thank you.
Thank you, Murshid sir. I think we will go to the question and answer session after the roundtable discussion.